Hi guys, G here. I bet you guys have seen a lot of videos with people making joke about British and American English accents. The main difference here that you may notice is the presence of the R sound, whether to pronounce it or to drop it. First of all, I'd like to point out that English, just like every other language in the world, has different dialects and different accents depending on the geographical and sociological background. That being said, not all British people speak without the R sound, and not all American people speak with the R sound. I'm just bringing the typical standard British accent, or the received pronunciation, or the RP accent, or the Queen's English, or the BBC English to compare with the typical standard American accent. If we're on the same page, let's continue. Now let's understand this academically. In the case that there is an R in the spelling of a word and you pronounce it like C-A-R, car, you call this rhotic. And the opposite way, if there is an R in the spelling but you don't pronounce it like car, this is called non-rhotic. I'm gonna mention a lot of rhotic and non-rhotic in this video, so I would like you guys to get familiar with these words. Let's start with the British for an obvious reason. English started in England. We have to know a bit of history here. In the past, like 2000 years ago, the Celts were living in Britain and they spoke Celtic language, and Celtic language is a rhotic language. After that, the Romans invaded, and what language did the Romans speak? Latin. They spoke Latin, and Latin is a rhotic language. Later in the year 449, the Germanic tribes invaded Britain along with their rhotic language. And again, in the 9th century, the Scandinavian Vikings who spoke Old Norse, and that is a rhotic language, invaded Britain. You can see a lot of invasion here. Lastly, in the year 1066, the Norman from France invaded Britain and their language is rhotic. We can see that the rhotic languages have a strong imprint on English language. You know what that means? That means that the British spoke rhotic. Wow, new knowledge. So when did they start dropping the R? Around the beginning of the 19th century, the working class in London started to drop the R sound. But at the time, the middle and the upper classes thought of it as an unfashionable way and improper way to speak. But later on, the non-rhotic accent spread throughout London and to the southeast areas of England and to the Midlands and to the north, but it didn't reach Scotland, of course. And then by the beginning of the 20th century, speaking with a non-rhotic pronunciation has become the new standard way of speaking. So what about North America? English is from England, and they brought it to America, so why the American remain rhotic? That is simply because when the colonizers left England for America, the linguistic change did not take place yet. Meaning, the colonizers were still speaking rhotic when they brought the language to America. But why didn't the accent change over time? It was spread throughout England already, so why not America? That is because North America is over 3,000 miles away from England across the Atlantic Ocean. You know how hard it was to travel from place to place in that time? And also, there wasn't Skype, there wasn't YouTube, there was no TV. So, there was very little communication between the two areas. Now that you know how it happened, here's the funny thing. In historical British films, you would hear the actors speaking with a modern British accent without the R sound. Now that you know how this change took place, you would notice that people in those days obviously did not speak like today. The classic is not so classic anymore. Like for example, Queen Elizabeth I would not say Shakespeare. She would rather say Shakespeare. Something like that. Another funny thing is that if you bring English actors to act in a Shakespeare's play and speak in Shakespearean English, they would find it difficult. While if you bring American actors to speak Shakespearean English, they would find it easier. Therefore, it's fair enough to say that the Americans speak more like Shakespearean than the modern Brits do. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not being offensive to any of the accent or the nationality. I started speaking English with British accent, non-rhotic, and then I started adopting American accent during my senior year in university. That was when I was about 21, 22, and here it goes, my mixed accent. But I like both accents, they're beautiful in their own ways. Our language is amazing. So if you've got something from this video and you like it, hit the like button, share it with your friends, share it with the world, and if further discussion could be made, or if I missed anything, please leave it in a comment below. I hope to see you in the next video. Enjoy your weekend.